Képzeljétek el, ahogy beüttök egy mesterparfümőr konyhájába, és ott rengeteg alapanyag van, szimatolhattok rengeteget, és szerencsétek van hozzá, hogy feltegyetek neki pár kérdést. Nekem ez összejött. Íme Andreas Wilhelm, mesterparfümőr, a Parfüm szax tulaja és parfümőre. Parancsoljatok! Yeah, action.
Action.
So, hi everyone. It's me again. Here we are. We have here. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Andreas Wilhelm. I'm a perfumer based in Zurich, independent perfumer. I'm actually industrial trained, so I started in the industry back in 1993 at Givaudan, being a lab technician in research and development of new aroma molecules for perfumery use. And this is actually where I fall in love with the industry. Later on, I could become a trainee perfumer at Luzi, small company here in Switzerland, in 1999. And since 2008, I own my own studio, offering creation service, actually for medium-sized companies.
Awesome. And what did inspire you to become a perfumer? Was there anything?
Actually, I realized I was 16 when I realized that if you show someone something to smell, everyone comes up with their own story.
Mhm.
So actually you can really touch the heart. And
That's
so
true.
this was actually the initial point who made me realize that I would like to become a perfumer.
That's actually really awesome. And do you remember what was your first creation, your first perfume? And what did you feel when you finished it?
Oh, actually, in training, it's not like that someone asks you to create. When you start to become a perfumer in the industry, basically you start on matching. Copycat fragrances. I can tell you the moment I was a bit pissed off with the industry and I left the industry to become independent perfumer. It was a moment I had the third time a briefing on my desk. Oh, we need a Chanel 5, but for a shampoo for cost price of €7. And this was really the moment I realized that's not what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life.
That's understandable.
So
100%. Wow. That makes me a little bit sad. But and what is the first step to design a new fragrance?
actually, everything starts with the brief. I pretend to say a perfumer is like a donkey. So I need a carrot hanging in front of me, and I will run after this carrot. So without the carrot, I'm nothing. I won't move. So every perfume creation, perfume development starts with the brief received from the customer. So this is the carrot, and this keeps me running. And then, of course, I make up my mind. I do maybe a limbic mapping of the brand. Then everything comes together in a kickoff meeting where I present different styles, possible direction. And after I receive the okay from the client, then actually I'm sitting on my computer and I start to create the perfume in my head.
Wow. Which ingredient do you love working with most and why?
There are some ingredients I work pretty frequently with them, but it's not because I love them. It's because they are part of perfume, of the industry. I mean, if you ask me which 3, 4 ingredients I use on a daily basis, I would call Hedione, iso-E, maybe ethylene brassylate, stuff like this. If you ask me which perfume I like the most, I have to tell you that love makes blind. And I don't want to get blind. So I love all of them.
I never heard this before.
Most of the perfumer, I would say you can track because they have a preference for certain ingredients. So for me, it's always the question, can they reinvent themselves if they always stick to their love? So I pretend to say I love them all and equally. But when I create a perfume, usually the carrot hanging in front of me is not my carrot, it's a carrot from a client. So they actually don't want me to work with my famous, or they don't want me to work with my favorite ingredients, but they trust that my style or my way of working, my signature is there. But they don't want me to repeat always the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ingredients I always use. So I try to stay away from falling in love with an ingredient.
Wow, I understand that, and wow, that's
There is always also a joke in perfumery, and we will say, if you fall in love with the creation you made, shut up and take it home. Enjoy it in silence. Because imagine you will show it in the industry, you always work with an FDM, fragrance development manager. This person actually is in contact with the sales guy, and this person, they know a little bit your style of perfumer. So imagine you create something that no one has smelled before, and you like it because you're an industrial animal and you know a bit more than public. So I like it and I enjoy it. And imagine I show it to the FDM, and this person with the story likes it as well. You know, so she presents or he presents that to the sales guy. Again, with the story, everyone likes it. So the sample goes out to the customer. And it's maybe a soap, imagine 40 tons, you know, and it is fragrance no one has smelled before, but doesn't mean it has maybe no market acceptance. Even the client from the sales guy with the story, he likes it, you know, he will launch a product, he will produce 40 tons of soaps, you know, and then they will sit in the store and no one will buy it, because this story from development is missing in the market, you know. So that's the
wow.
worst, actually.
Wow. How do you balance a fragrance note? Do you have a favorite trick for this?
Every perfume is different, actually, and that's always the challenge, you know. But every perfume consists actually of maybe 3, 4 pillars. These are overdosed ingredients, and they actually give the whole character to the perfume. But then it depends, you know, again, on the customer, on the feedback. You know, maybe you need to soften it down, or maybe you need to add something else to take over. So there is not really a general answer to it.
Wow. This question is kind of boring, but it's important. How important is the combination of natural and synthetic ingredients in your work?
You know, every time I receive a briefing, the customer gives me a price. You know, it may be price per bottle, or a price neat in the perfume compound. So usually this number limits the use of naturals. Then there is another thing. If you read in an olfactive description, there is a mint from a Tibetan sanctuary. You know already it's fake, you know. Because if a big brand, imagine, for example, Paco Rabanne, when they launch a perfume, they launch 1 million bottle, otherwise it doesn't make sense from the financial part. So this 1 million bottle, even if you have just a drop in the perfume, you have to be sure that you can source this ingredient in that amount, you know, in that
Yes.
volume on the market. So of course, we have commodities like bergamot oil, lemon oil, like orange oil, so citrus, but also lavender oil. There you have quite a good amount on the market, but still nowadays, people are not used to 100% natural perfumes. They want a certain sillage, they want a certain longevity, and usually you can't reach this with nature.
I understand that. Wow. What do you think about the current perfume trends? Is there a trend that excites you?
You know, to be honest, I don't see any trend. For me, the only trend is that everything is possible. You know, and of course, in the niche, the perfume gets louder and louder and overdosed, and people need to tell it's dosed at 30%. But again, these are um, uh, again, these people, they don't own the formula. So they know maybe when they buy a perfume compound, they add 30% to the alcohol. But what they really have inside, maybe it's 50% of solvent, DPG or IPM or whatever. So they have no clue, you know. So I think that the trend is being loud, being bold, but sometimes I think the beauty of it gets a bit lost.
That's true. That's so true. Oh, wow. If you could choose only one note that represents you the most, what would it be?
There isn't one single note,
Yeah,
I have to
I
say.
just tried.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah. You know, perfume is always inspired by something. Again, it may be the carrot from the customer, but in the past, it was always nature.
Mhm.
You know, first of the perfume, there were reinterpretation of roses, for example. Nowadays, this has shifted a little bit. So most of the inspiration in briefings come from other products that are successful on the market. That's why I just want to say today, really everything is possible, and I don't see a single ingredient that could describe a bit my style.
I know you since yesterday,
Hmm.
but if someone would ask me this question and I have to answer something,
Hmm.
I would say two raw materials. They
Hmm.
almost the same, cashmere and cashmere velvet. But I don't know why.
Cashmere and
Cashmere, the velvet one. The one is a little
mm,
bit dry, woody, and the other
yes.
one is softer, velvety.
Okay, I do have two different grades of cashmere. One is the liquid one, let's say the commodity, and then there is an internal quality from IFF, which is a powder, and they started to release it, I think, last year. So
Mm.
these are the two cashmere molecules I use.
Hmm.
I like them, but not everywhere.
I understand that.
Oh,
I love them. I don't know why.
yeah.
Is there a perfume among your creations that you particularly proud of? It could be a brand, other one, or your from OEM. From
I mean, you know, creating perfumes for me is always looking for the holy grail. So basically, the most important creation I'm doing is always the one I'm working on. You know, so if I created yesterday something for an amazing brand and they sell like bread, I'm not that proud of it because the next creation is already more important and I'm more focused into this. And Mark Buxton, a good friend of mine, famous perfumer, he told me once, you know, perfumers are heroes, but just for one day. And the next day we stay in the lab again and we're looking for the new bloody holy grail. And this is how I feel. Financially, I could say one of the biggest perfumes I ever met was Gisada Ambassador, because it's the number one in Germany, number one in Switzerland. And they sell, I don't know, maybe 460,000 bottles. This could be something I would be proud of. But again, I get the kick from creation, not from talking about what I created.
amazing, you feel confident.
Yes, it has a good sillage as well. You
It
know,
has a
I think
longevity as
for
well. Yeah,
in the segment they are marketing it. It's a very nice perfume.
it is. This. It is. Wow. What fragrance do you enjoy to wearing most in your daily life? That's the number one
Actually,
question.
in winter I'm wearing a. I mean, I have to say I use perfume only when I need to leave an impression. So on the daily work in the lab, I'm not using any perfume. So when I go for a meeting or I want to feel cozy, there is at the moment a certain perfume. It's a Diptyque Oud Palau.
That's good.
So this is for me, it's an amazing perfume. But also this perfume, I will never go to analyze because the moment I see the composition, it will lose the glamour. And if I, you know, at the beginning of my career, I started 1999 to become a perfumer. One of the first perfume industrially I had to deal with was Egoist Platinum from Chanel. And for me, that's still an amazing fragrance.
It is.
Um,
It is. It is a masterpiece, to be honest.
yeah, exactly.
And this was 50 people sent me this message. So I'm
Yeah.
going to ask, what is your most important piece of advice for those who want to create their own perfume?
In terms of creation, less is more. You know, every raw material needs to breathe. Otherwise, I think one of the most common mistakes, and even if I look at early works from myself, I always loaded more and more and more and more. But the older I'm getting, I mean, nowadays, if I can create a perfume with 21 ingredients, each ingredient has its role, and mistakes are much more obvious. But it took me like 20, 25 years to reach there.
That's a long time.
So I would say, whenever you start to create a perfume, look around about your overdose, the story you want to tell, because you tell the story with 3, 4 ingredients, and then the rest is, I wouldn't call it filler, but basically they are filler. They soften it, they make it more appearing like a perfume, but the story you tell with 3, 4 ingredients.
Well, and this is my personal question and the only one,
Yeah,
the last one.
yeah, yeah.
If you create a perfume which has naturals and synthetics,
Mm-hmm.
do you see the naturals as they like 200 piece of ingredients in their own, or you see as one ingredient?
It depends actually on how I want to inscenate a certain ingredient. For example, if I work with osmanthus, for example, I would add other leather components if I want to focus on the leathery side. If I want to focus on the peachy side, I will add C14, gamma decalactone, stuff like this. So it's always a bit the question which side you want to carve out of the ingredients.
Hmm.
But sorry, I think I forgot your question. Maybe
No, that's
repeat it
good.
again.
That's good. And that was it. Thank you for your time. And
Thank you too. Thanks for being here.